Sometimes the market's slower, and that's true. Seasons change, spending changes, people get more careful with money. Consumer confidence can go up and down. So, yeah, sometimes the market really is slower, but most of the time when a wedding photographer or filmmaker says the market's slow, what they really mean is I don't have a predictable demand system. And that's the harder truth. And I want to talk about that in this video because a lot of talented wedding creatives blame the market when the real problem is much closer to home. Now, let me be fair. I'm not saying the market never changes. Of course it does. There are busy seasons, slow seasons. There's years where people spend more. There are years where people get more careful. That's real. But here's the problem. A lot of people use the market is slow as a blanket excuse. It becomes the answer for everything. Low inquiries? The market's slow. More ghosting? The market's slow. People are asking more about price? Yeah, still a slow market. No bookings this month? Same thing. And sometimes that might be partly true, but a lot of the time, that answer keeps you from looking at the real problem, because if you blame the market for everything, you never have to look at your message. You never have to look at your positioning. You never have to look at your follow-up. You never have to look at your sales process. And those are things that usually make the biggest difference. So what do most people do when they think the market's slow? They post more, they tweak their websites again, they wait for referrals, they blame the algorithm, they tell themselves that people just aren't booking right now, and they sit there and just hope that it changes. And that's the trap, because those actions are usually reactive, they're not strategic, and they're not fixing the real issue. They're just giving you something to do while you wait. So I want to give you a better question to ask. Not, is the market slow? Instead, ask this: am I creating enough demand with the right people? And that's a much better question, because now you're looking at something you can actually improve. Demand means you can create opportunities on purpose. It means you're not fully dependent on luck. It means you're not waiting for the perfect month. It means that you have a way to get in front of the right couples and move them towards a booking. This is what can change your business. Now let's make it super practical. If you're wondering whether the problem is really the market or whether the problem is your system, here are 5 things to check. The first one is this: are you clear on your dream couple? And I don't mean engaged couples, it's too broad. I mean, do you actually know what kind of people you want more of? What do they care about? What kind of wedding do they want? What matters most to them? What kind of experience are they looking for? What are they willing to spend money on? Because if you aren't clear on that, your marketing gets broad, and when your marketing gets broad, you attract bad leads. And bad leads usually turn into price shoppers. So here's a simple thing you can do. Think about your last 5 favorite couples, not just the prettiest weddings, but your favorite couples. The ones you enjoyed the most, the ones who trusted you, the ones who valued what you do, and write down what they had in common. Did they care a lot about family? Did they want the day to feel relaxed? Did they love story over trends? Did they have a planner? Did they book a certain price point? That'll show you who your dream couple really is. The second thing to check is your message. Is your message specific, or does it sound like any other wedding photographer or videographer? A weak message says things like, I capture your special day. And that sounds nice, but it's vague. A stronger message sounds more like, I help couples who care deeply about real moments, family, and story feel fully present on their wedding day. That's more specific. It tells the right person, this might be for me. So go look at your Instagram bio, look at your website, look at your inquiry page. Ask yourself, does this clearly say who I'm for? Or could almost anybody say this? That matters a lot more than people think. The third thing to check is visibility. Are you visible enough to the right audience? Not just visible in general, but the right audience. Because a lot of people think that they have a market problem when what they really have is an exposure problem. The right people aren't seeing them enough, or they're only showing up in places that are random and passive. For example, if your whole business depends on Instagram and the occasional referral, that's a very fragile setup. You need to know where your inquiries are coming from. So here's a simple exercise. Pull up your last 10 inquiries and write down where each one came from. Was it Instagram, a referral, a planner? Anything. Then ask, are these sources active or passive? In other words, can I create more of these on purpose, or am I mostly waiting around? And that question will tell you a lot, because if you're mostly waiting, then what feels like a market problem may actually be a demand problem. The fourth thing to check is follow-up. Are you following up well? Because sometimes the issue isn't that fewer people are inquiring. Sometimes the issue is that the leads you already have aren't being handled correctly. Slow replies, generic replies, sending pricing too early, no clear next step, cold energy, that stuff kills momentum. And when momentum dies, people disappear. So here's a simple check. Go look at your last 5 inquiries and ask yourself, did I reply fast? Did I sound personal? Did I make the next step clear? Did I build trust before I sent information? If not, then don't just blame the market. Fix your follow-up. The fifth thing to check is your offer. Does your offer feel premium, or does it feel like a list of hours and deliverables? Because if your packages feel the same as everyone else, then your couples are going to compare on price, and then it feels like the market is cheap. But sometimes the real issue is that your work is being presented like a commodity. That's different. So look at your pricing guide or your packages and ask yourself, does this help couples feel why I'm worth it? Or does it just show what's included? There's a big difference between 8 hours, one shooter, 600 photos, and this is for couples who want the day to feel natural, who care deeply about being present, and who want their story captured in a way that feels real. One is a list, the other one creates value. So when someone says the market's slow, I think the better move is to ask which part of my system is weak right now. Because slow markets punish weak systems more than strong ones. That's the big takeaway here. When the market gets harder, the people with weak systems feel it way more. Why is that? Because they were already relying on luck. They were already relying on referrals, random posting, and hope. So when things tighten up, the cracks get bigger. But people with demand systems still get booked. Not because the market never affects them, but because they aren't waiting passively. They're clearer, they're more visible to the right people, they follow up better, their offer feels stronger, their sales process is better, so they still move forward. And that's the difference. That's why I keep saying this. Talented wedding photographers and videographers stay stuck because they're missing a system, not because they need better work. Because when you don't have a system, every slow month feels personal and every quiet week feels scary. Every ghosted lead feels like proof that the market's broken. But once you have a system, you stop guessing so much, you stop blaming everything on outside conditions, and you start seeing what you can fix. So if things feel slow right now, don't just ask, is the market slow? Instead, ask, am I clear on my dream couple? Is my messaging specific? Am I visible enough to the right people? Am I following up well? Does my offer feel premium? Those 5 questions will give you way more useful answers. And if you're tired of guessing whether it's the market or your system, watch the free training at the first link below. I break down my full system for inquiries, value, and consultations.